Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech World with Sahana. Today I am bringing you Kubernetes scenario based questions set 5. Can you believe we are halfway through this course? Today we will be covering question 41 till question 50. And these questions will cover the concepts of persistent volume claim, storage, and stateful set. If you are not familiar with these concepts, do not worry at all. Watch these two videos from Zero to Interview Hero series that will clear up your concept. And once your concept is clear, that will make this video so much more easier to understand. So without any further ado, let's get started. Let's start with question number 41. You are deploying two applications in Kubernetes. A front-end web app that serves the static content, a database that stores user transaction. The requirements are the front-end pod can be replaced without any impact. The database pod must keep their identity and store data. How will you implement it? First, we are creating the YAML for our front-end application which is stateless. So we use a deployment. This ensures pods are interchangeable and can be recreated freely. Next, the front-end should be scalable, so we define multiple replicas. Now, Kubernetes maintains multiple identical front-end pods and can scale them up or down. Next, we are creating the YAML for our database application, which is stateful. Database pods must keep their identity, so instead of a deployment, we use a stateful set. Now, each pod gets a stable identity like DB0, DB1. Next, each database pod needs a stable network identity, so we create a headless service. This gives each pod a predictable DNS name. Next, database data must survive pod restarts, so we add persistent storage using volume claim templates. This creates a dedicated PVC for each pod. Next, each database replica must have its own storage. So here we define the access mode. Now each pod gets its own separate volume. Question number 42. You are deploying a 3-node database cluster where each node must be reachable by predictable hostname. The requirements are each database instance must always be reachable using the same DNS name. Pods must keep this identity even after restart. Other pods should connect using stable hostname, not pod IPs. How will you implement it? First, we start creating the YAML for our database cluster. Pods must keep their identity, so we use a stateful set. This ensures pods are created with stable ordinal names and not randomly replaced. Next, each pod must be reachable using the predictable host name, so we need a headless service to control DNS records. Setting cluster IP as none makes it a headless service, which creates DNS records for each pod. Next, stateful set must be linked to the headless service, so we add this part in the stateful set YAML. Next, we need exactly 3 database nodes, so we set replica count as 3. Next, other pods must connect using stable host names. Because of the headless service and stateful set combination, no extra YAML is needed here. This behavior comes automatically from the setup. Question number 43. You are running a distributed database where each replica must store its own data and the data must remain attached to the same replica even if the pod is recreated. The requirements are each pod must have its own persistent volume claim. Storage must automatically be created when new replicas are added. And data must not mix between replicas. How will you implement it? First, pod must not share storage, so we need one volume per pod. This is only possible using stateful set, not deployment. This allows us to attach unique storage to each pod. Next, storage must be created automatically when scaling. So we use volume claim templates inside stateful set. For every pod you create, also create a PVC from this template. Next, we need to define the storage size and access mode because each replica needs its own disk with proper access. Next, we ensure data stays with the same replica. Stateful set gives pods stable names like DB0, DB1, DB2 And Kubernetes will create PVCs like dbdata db0, 1 and 2. If db1 crashes, it comes back as db1 and reattaches the same PVC. This guarantees data never moves between replicas. Question number 44. You are running a stateful with 3 replicas of database. Traffic increases and you need to scale it to 5. The requirements are new replicas must get their own identity and storage, existing pods must be distributed, and pod creation order must be predictable. How will you implement it? First, ensure pods already have stable identity. As we are using StatefulSets, so pods already have fixed names like db0, 1 and 2. Next, let's increase the replica count. To scale, we simply increase the replica number from 3 to 5. Now, to ensure new replicas get their own storage, we add volume claim templates. So each pod gets its own storage, separate from the existing replicas. So Kubernetes creates dbdata db3 and 4. Remember, existing pod must not be distributed and pod creation order must be predictable. But as stateful set scaling does not restart or recreate existing pods, so we are good here. And it also creates pods in ordinal order. When scaling from 3 to 5, Kubernetes creates db3, waits until db3 is ready, then creates db4, and this order creation is automatic with stateful set. Question number 45. You want to upgrade a database running as a stateful from version 1.0 to version 1.1. The requirements are only one pod should be updated at a time. Each pod must come back with the same identity and storage. The system must remain stable during the upgrade. How will you implement it? First, ensure this is a stateful application. So after restart, each pod keeps the same identity. Next, we need to ensure pod keeps the same storage after restart. So we add volume claim template which automatically reattach the same PVC when a pod is recreated. Now when db1 restarts, it still uses the dbdata db1. Now update the database version from 1.0 to 1.1. This triggers a rolling update. Next, ensure only one pod updates at a time. Stateful set use ordered rolling update by default. So Kubernetes will terminate db0, recreate it with the new image, wait until it becomes ready, then move to db1 and then db2. This ensures system stability. Question number 46. You are deploying MySQL database inside Kubernetes. The requirements are database data must survive pod restart and rescheduling. Storage must not be deleted when pod is recreated. Only one pod should write to the storage at a time. How will you implement it? First, we need storage that lives outside the pod, so that if pod dies, its file system does not die with it. For that, we add PersistentVolume, which exists independently of pods. Next, storage also must not be deleted with pod. So we explicitly tell Kubernetes not to delete the volume even if the PersistentVolumeClaim is removed by adding PersistentVolumeReclaim policy as retain. Next, only one pod should write to storage by choosing access mode as read-write once. This ensures that only one pod on one node can mount the volume in write mode. Next, pod should request storage, not hard-coded. So we introduce PersistentVolumeClaim YAML. Next, we need to configure pod to use PersistentVolumeClaim by adding this particular part in the pod YAML. This ensures storage continuity across pod recreation. Question number 47. You are deploying a content management system CMS with multiple replicas. The requirements are all replicas must access the same uploaded files. Pods may run on different nodes. Files must remain even if the pod is deleted. How will you implement it? First, we need storage that survives pod deletion. So we add persistent volume YAML. Next, multiple pod must read and write the same data. So we must use an access mode as read write many. So that allows multiple writers across nodes. Next, storage must not be deleted accidentally. So we explicitly retain the volume even if the claim is removed by adding persistent volume reclaim policy as retain. Next, we use a shared storage backend. Adding this part allows multiple pods on different nodes to mount the same volume. Next, pods should request storage via PVC. So we add a persistent volume claim YAML. And in the pod YAML, we add this part. This guarantees shared access to upload directory. Question number 48. Your organization runs many teams on a single Kubernetes cluster. The requirements are teams should be able to request storage without admin involvement. Storage should be created automatically when requested. Different storage performance tiers should be available. How will you implement it? First, we define storage policies, not volumes. Admins should not create persistent volumes manually every time. So instead of persistent volumes, we create storage classes. Next, we will create different performance tiers. So we create two storage classes, each pointing to a different backend or configuration. This allows teams to choose storage performance. Next, we enable authentic volume creation. Dynamic provisioning only works if Kubernetes knows how to provision storage. So we configure a provisioner inside the storage class. Kubernetes automatically creates persistent volumes when persistent volume claims are requested. Next, teams request storage using persistent volume claims. Teams do not care about persistent volumes. They only create a persistent volume claim and choose a storage class. Finally, Kubernetes creates everything automatically. So when a persistent volume claim is applied, Kubernetes calls the storage class. A new persistent volume is created dynamically. Persistent volume is bound to the persistent volume claim. Pod gets the storage. So no manual steps, no tickets to admin. Question number 49. A financial application stores critical transaction data in Kubernetes. The requirements are storage must not be deleted automatically if the application is removed. Administrator must manually review and clean up storage. The storage should remain even after the PVC is deleted. How will you implement it? First, storage must not be deleted automatically. So we explicitly control the storage lifecycle. To do that, we add a persistent volume with persistent volume reclaim policy as retain. So when the persistent volume claim is deleted, Kubernetes does not delete the data and does not reuse the volume automatically. Next, administrators must manually review and clean up storage. Because cleanup must be manual, we use static provisioning. So we create the persistent volume ourselves instead of dynamic provisioning. And now the persistent volume exists independently of applications. Next, storage must remain even after PVC deletion. To ensure data survives PVC deletion, the retain policy stays in effect. So if the persistent volume claim is deleted, persistent volume goes to the release state and data remains untouched. Next, application requests storage using persistent volume claim. The application still uses the PVC, but cleanup is controlled by admins. Now the application can safely use storage without controlling its life cycle. Question number 50. You are running a pod with an application container writing user data, a sidecar container collecting logs. Both containers must use the same PVC, but their files must not be in separate directory. Inside volume, how will you implement it? First, both containers must use the same persistent volume claim. So we add one shared volume backed by a persistent volume claim. Now both containers can now access the same persistent volume. Next, application data must go into its own directory. To avoid mixing data, we mount only a specific directory from the volume using subpath. /app/data maps only to app-data directory inside the volume, and application data stays isolated. Next, logs must go into a different directory. Now we isolate logs using a different subpath. Now logs are written only under logs/ and no overlap with application data.